Good evening, everyone. We are Group A, and today we are pleased to present our research project for the course, Further Econometrics. The title of our study is Determinant of Economic Growth in ASEAN. Our group members are Wang Lu, Wu Jieli, and Lili Ao. In this presentation, I will cover the study rationale and the theoretical foundation before passing it on to my teammates. Here is a brief overview of today's presentation. We will start with the research background and the theoretical framework, followed by the data source and the econometric models, then move on to the empirical results and conclude with the main findings and implications. Let's begin with the rationale behind our study and the theoretical foundations that support our analysis. ASEAN is a rapidly developing regional economic bloc, recording a 5.1% GDP growth rate in 2022, and showing resilience amid global uncertainty. Our focus is on three key macroeconomic drivers of growth in ASEAN: trade openness, exchange rate fluctuation, and foreign direct investment. The objective of this study is to examine how these three variables impact economic growth in selected ASEAN countries from 2010 to 2023, using panel data econometric model. Based on our motivation, we propose the following three core research questions. Does trade openness significantly impact GDP growth in ASEAN countries? Do changes in the real effective exchange rate influence economic growth by affecting international competitiveness? Do foreign direct investment inflows have a statistically and economically significant effect on GDP growth? These questions guide the structure of our empirical analysis and help us link theory with data. Our study is grounded in two well-known economic growth models. The Solo model 1956 emphasizes exogenous technological progress and the capital accumulation. It highlights factors such as savings rate, population growth, and the technology as drivers of long-run output growth. On the other hand, the endogenous growth theory introduced in the 1980s suggests that sustained growth is driven by internal factors such as R&D investment, innovation, and human capital. These two models together offers a strong theoretical basis for exploring the role of foreign direct investment, trade, and the exchange rate in ASEAN's economic performance. Now, let's connect theory with the three core variables in our study. Trade openness is widely seen as a channel to improve resources allocation and accelerate technology transfer. However, it may also expose economies to external shocks and global competition. Exchange rate fluctuation influence growth through their effect on exports, imports, and investment. While depreciation can improve export competitiveness, unstable fluctuations may create risk. Foreign direct investment inflows bring not only capital but also technology spills over and industrial upgrading. Still, their effectiveness depends on the host country's absorptive capacity, such as institutional quality and infrastructure. This theoretical pathways frame the expectation we test in our empirical model. With the theoretical foundation established, I will now hand over to Lilia. He will introduce the data sources and we use the economic models we applied in this study. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I will be presenting sections 3 and 4 of our group project. My part focuses on the data source and sample period, followed by the econometric model and estimation strategy we applied to study economic growth in ASEAN countries. Let's begin with the data source and sample period. Our sample includes 5 ASEAN countries: Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines and Vietnam, spanning the years 2010 to 2023, giving us 14 years of data with 5 countries across 14 years. We formed a balanced panel dataset for 70 observations. All data was collected from reputable international databases. GDP growth rate, trade openness, and foreign direct investment were sourced from the World Bank, while the real effective exchange rate data came from the Bank for International Settlements. Here are the variables we used. The dependent variable is GDP growth, which captures the annual real GDP growth rate. The first independent variable is trade openness, calculated as the sum of exports and imports divided by GDP. The second is FDI to GDP, which reflects the score of foreign investment inflows related to a country's economic size. Lastly, REER measures a country's currency competitiveness against its trading partners, adjusted for inflation, with 2010 as the base year. These 4 variables capture critical macroeconomic aspects: trade integration, investment flows, and currency dynamics. Next is the model setting. We constructed a panel data regression model to quantify the impact of these 3 explanatory variables on GDP growth. The model form is as follows, where I denotes the country, T denotes the year, and epsilon is the error term. The model has a linear structure and is suitable for data with cross-sectional and time dimensions. To ensure that the model selection was scientifically sound and reasonable, we adopted the following estimation strategy. First, we ran a standard panel OLS model as the baseline model. Second, we conducted fixed effects testing using F-test and chi-square test to determine whether there were unobservable individual differences between countries. Third, we conducted random effects tests, such as BP-LM test, to determine whether the time dimension has a significant impact. Fourth, we used the Hausman test to make the final model selection between the fixed effects and the random effects models. Throughout the model construction process, we strictly adhered to the assumptions of classical econometrics, including linear relationships, no perfect multicollinearity among independent variables, homozygosity of error terms, no autocorrelation of error terms within each country panel, cross-sectional independence. If certain assumptions are not met, we will adjust using robust standard errors to ensure the reliability of the estimation results. That concludes my presentation, which mainly introduced the structure and the sources of our data, as well as the setting and estimation process of the econometric model. These steps lay the foundation and the subsequent analysis of the results and the discussion of policy implications.
Hello, my name is Wu Jieli, so I will introduce the result and discussion conclusion of our project. The next step is to explore the factor influencing GDP growth in 5 ASEAN countries in Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. We began with the panel OLS, and that test for fixed or random effects. If both are present, the Hausman test is used to determine the most appropriate model for accurately identifying the factor influencing GDP growth. Our analysis begins with estimating a panel OLS model for GDP growth. We then test for the presence of fixed or random effects. The selection of appropriate models, fixed effects, random effects, or poor OLS is crucial for accurately predict factor influencing GDP growth and avoiding extermination bias. The OLS regression result provide initial insight into the factor affecting GDP growth, showing openness shows a negative and significant impact, while foreign direct investments have a positive and significant impact on GDP growth. The real effective experience appears insignificant in this model. And then we go to fixed effect test. The result shows that we can reject a null hypothesis suggesting the presence of significant counter fixed effects in the model indicates that a fixed effects model is more appropriate than poor OLS for understanding GDP growth across different ASEAN nations. So you also need to see whether it has a random effect. We can see the random effect result. The statistic of Bush-Pagan test is 15.61995. The p-value is 0, strongly rejecting the null hypothesis of no random effect, so it had random effect. In this study, there exists both fixed and random effects, so the Hausman test was need to compare which model was more appropriate. From the result of Hausman tests are significant in a 5% level, therefore we can conclude that we can reject the null hypothesis. A fixed effect model is more appropriate. Here is the fixed effect model. The fixed effect regression results reveal that the trade openness and foreign direct investments have a positive and significant impact on GDP growth in ASEAN countries. Conversely, the real effective exchange rates show a negative and significant impact, suggesting that a higher real effective exchange rates can inhibit GDP growth. The next is our conclusion. The policy implications for ASEAN. Our empirical analysis utilizing data from 2011 to 2023 and selecting the appropriate fixed effect model highlights critical factors for ASEAN's economic development. Regional integration and big trade policy are vital, as increasing trade openness positively impacts GDP growth, attracting and stabilizing foreign investment inflows is also crucial for promoting economic expansion. However, maintaining a stable exchange rate is essential, as a high real effective exchange rate can inhibit GDP growth. This finding underscores the importance of strategic policy making in trade investment and currency management to foster sustainable economic growth in ASEAN countries. The above is our project paper. Thank you for your listening.